To coincide with a YouTube video that we're doing, where we play some board games, we decided to play Clue or Cluedo as the board game, and then look out Clue the movie. And I hadn't seen this before, so I was looking forward to it for one main reason. And can you guess what that reason is?
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, 100%. I love Tim Curry. And I'll say now, and there may be some disagreements on this film, but I'll say now, I love Tim Curry in this film. I think he elevates this film to a level which without him probably you wouldn't be anywhere near. But yeah, so I don't have a specific memory of it. I watched the TV series. Anyone else watch the British TV series?
Yeah,
All I ever remember of it is Miss Scarlet was Jerry Hall.
For the last series.
Oh, was it? That's all I ever remember.
They changed the actors and actresses every series.
Oh, did they really? I thought she was like an ongoing person. Oh, right. Here we go then. Let's have a look. Who was in that?
I know Richard Wilson was he Reverend Green in one series? Yeah.
Richard Wilson as of One Foot in the Grave?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone got it up? I'm
getting it up, but it's I didn't realize there's like there's an American show about I saw the other day about it. I'm just trying to find that as well.
No, it was an Australian version.
Is it Australia? Oh, because the one I've seen is 2011. Six very different teenagers try to unravel the mystery behind a long line of clues and puzzles set out by a mysterious person.
All right. So, what do you want to know about? I've got a game show.
Literally, who was in it? So there's Cluedo.
Joanna Lumley was in there as well.
Nicholas Parsons, Leslie Grantham. But yeah, there's quite a lot of famous people. Stephanie Beacham.
Biggins.
Tom Parker. Biggins, yeah, Jerry Hall.
June Whitfield. Stephanie Beacham.
Rula Lenska.
There's two different versions, it seems. It seems to run from 1990 to 93, and then I got a 92 and 93 version as well. This is the American version. Sorry. Yeah.
It's not Australian, then it's American.
Oh, no, you could be right. Sorry. It's called Cluedo, so it must be Australian, because I think it's only America that call it Clue, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think the other versions internationally were Australia, Germany, France, and Italy.
And
Sweden. I've got you as well.
Hell of a cast, though, isn't it? If you think about it.
Yeah. Well, if you take all of them, you got, I think, 1990 Christmas special is the one to get. You got Derek Nemo out of One of Our Dinosaurs Is Missing. Ian Lavender, Private Pike. Don't tell me your name, Pike. Yeah. Toya Wilcox and Joan Sims.
Yeah.
It's I have a vivid memory of it. I can't remember the premise. So was it like a game show?
Yeah, so you had a panel and they had to, like the game, decipher who had committed the murder and how. I think they won money based on if they guessed correctly.
Didn't they show video clips as well during obviously the game?
Right. So the video clips were of the famous people we've just mentioned, giving certain clues to who may have done what. Okay.
Yeah.
We should, maybe we should go back and watch an episode then. But anyway, that's my specific memories of it. Than the fact that I have no memories of the film, just the TV series. Ev, what about you?
Yeah, I probably watched this when I was in primary school, around about the time of the UK show. I love murder mystery things. I'm like, I say that I'm a proper nerd. Like, murder mystery.
You are anyway. You work in IT.
Oh, no, yeah. But no, I love all that, and like things like like an Inspector Calls. I don't know if you both have seen any films or plays about that story. Don't laugh, Prog.
I will admit,
Oh.
in my younger years, I had been known to sit down and watch like an Agatha Christie type
Oh, I
TV
love
drama.
Poirot.
Yeah, Poirot. What's Miss Marple?
David Suchet as Poirot is the ultimate detective for me.
See, so there you go.
No, the
Can't not.
problem the reason I was laughing at is because you started listing shows that my mother loves.
Your mom's got good taste. But no, I've always loved like murder mystery type things, and like the like the whole story around Cluedo and Clue are right up my alley.
So
Yeah.
so would you have loved like an Inspector Morse back in the day?
No, I did like Splendor though.
Only because Jimmy Nails in it.
And
you love a
what,
bit
what
of
was the
Jimmy.
other one you said the other day? Yeah, Lovejoy.
Was it Lovejoy
Yeah, you mentioned Lovejoy as well in the group chat.
or Bergerac? No, I never used to watch Lovejoy.
Bergerac, I used to love. I wouldn't say I love that. Maybe that's a little bit strong. But the problem is the type of TV series my mum would watch. So
Yeah.
when you've only got one TV in the house, or like I probably had a TV in my room, maybe in my teens, but it would have had a shitty aerial, which you couldn't pick anything up on.
Also, there was only 3 or 4 channels, so
Oh yeah,
limited viewing, wasn't it?
Columbo was all right.
Oh, do you
Well,
know Columbo used to depress the shit out of me?
well, if we're talking about murder mysteries, the big one for me, and unfortunately she passed away this week, was Murder She Wrote.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah,
God bless.
Angela Lansbury.
Taylor's old as time, but
Yeah. My third gran, as I said in the group chat. She looked like my gran as well. It's unbelievable.
Mrs. Potts, isn't it?
Mrs. Potts.
Yeah.
What about you, Prog?
So I think I'm in a similar vein to Ev in terms of watching this around the same time I got into the board game and also watching the TV show. So I think it might have been. I wouldn't mind betting. See that when the TV show came out, it was on ITV, I think, wasn't it? Channel 3.
I got a funny feeling. Yeah, it was Richard Madeley, and he's always been like an ITV presenter.
Yeah, it was about 7:30 prime time viewing
On a Tuesday, is it?
See, I reckon.
Yeah, actually, yes, yeah, because if you think about it, back then, Coronation
EastEnders
Street
would have been on.
Yeah, EastEnders was Tuesdays and Thursdays. Coronation Street was Monday, Wednesday.
So you would have had Emmerdale and then straight into this. But I got a funny feeling it might have been later than 7:30, Ev. I reckon it might have been 8:00. But that's
I
proper
think it's an
prime
8:00 show.
Oh, I don't know. Can we find out?
Maybe after this podcast, or someone can do it in the background.
I was gonna say what I was leading to though is that I was gonna say I think I watched this because I wouldn't have mind betting that ITV would have got the film to play simultaneously while having the show running. Because this film was released in 85. If the TV show is going between 90 and 94, ITV must have put that film on at some point during those 4 years. And I'm pretty sure that's when I watched it. Because I know for sure when we said about watching this, I know I'd watched it once before.
To me, I think this feels like a BBC film. You know how I think I said before that certain films, like the look of them would be shown on like ITV or Channel 4, whereas others would be like a BBC 1 or 2. I just get the feeling this would be a BBC film. I could be wrong. But...
For me, it's 100% got Hallmark written over it. That type of film. And do you know when they do like a Hallmark film, but you can clearly see that it's done on a set rather than any sort of location filming or anything.
I'm going to go even worse than that, and I'm going to say it's one that I would expect on 24-hour movies.
Yeah, no, I get that feeling. to me, right, it does one of two things. It's that type of low budget-esque TV movie, but it's got a feel of Adam's Family about it. Adam's Family / Munsters. I don't know what it was, but I was watching it, and I was maybe it's the setting of it in that like grand house or something. But I just had a feeling the certain style of comedy as well, because the comedy in there, because it is billed as a comedy murder mystery type film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is absolutely a comedy. I don't care what you say. We all know who nominated this film. It's Ev. Because this is his type of comedy.
We
it's not a
all
laugh.
know who to point the finger of blame.
But it's not a laugh out loud comedy, is what I'm saying.
You're right, Brett. It's not.
Well, we come onto it in a minute, but there were parts of it I had a little chuckle on. So, do you know this was the first ever movie to be based on a board game?
Okay,
I did try and think back. I was like, surely there's something else out there. But yeah,
was it
supposedly
the last film as well?
Well, you've got. Well, let's have a little think about this. You've got
I'm saying I can't. Battle. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was it Rihanna?
Yeah.
But that, pardon the pun, but that sunk.
Yeah. It was, I'd rather watch Clue over Battleships. That's for sure.
I don't know about that because I haven't seen Battleship, so I think I'd rather watch Battleship.
Didn't I have the Liam Neeson in as well?
Yeah. That's a reason to watch it, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Jumanji, although that's not a real game. And that's as much as I
so you can't include that.
Yeah.
He's gonna bring out Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins in a minute.
No, that's not a board game. Ouija. Well, I'm just surprised more people hadn't sort of jumped on some of this bandwagon.
I don't know. Is a Ouija board a board game?
Well, it's a board. Whether you play a game on it, I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons, obviously.
That's not. Have they made an actual film of it?
Yeah, with Jeremy Irons. Is it Jeremy Irons?
I don't know. I've never seen a film of.
I want to say around.
I remember the TV show.
There was this was more based on the game, but there's a new Dungeons and Dragons coming out, isn't it? This year or next year?
Chris Pine, isn't it?
Chris Pine, yeah. Wait, I've got a list. I just found it. There's loads of them are just weedy.
They'll have to go a long way to beat the cartoon.
There's one called Under the Boardwalk, the Monopoly story. Although that doesn't sound like a movie, it sounds like more like a docu-film. Yeah, they're all sort of docu-films. Yeah.
How would you make it like a film about Monopoly? Just like a guy with a tash walking around.
I'd make it about property investors.
Yeah, and maybe sort of like
I'd make it like a social network type film.
And how the rich get richer.
Yeah, and they're all out to one up each other.
Or here's the thing: you could make.
Or it's like a gangs of London type of thing.
Yeah, or like hold on, like the Running Man. If they have like a specific sort of 100 square foot board, as it were, and people have to go around and buy houses and stuff.
As we said when we did the Running Man, that I've always wanted to play the board game that they have in that show. Come on, let's move on then to favorite aspect. I'm gonna start with Prog because I got a funny feeling he's gonna struggle a bit here, but I've got a couple.
I'm just saying Tim Curry.
Yeah, I think he's good in it. But I was trying to think the other day: is there many films or many performances he sort of doesn't give his all in anyway?
No, there's not.
He may be in a bad movie.
He is, but
no. In general, now I'm saying if he is in a bad movie, it may be bad, but he's normally good.
Well, I think we can all agree that Home Alone 2 isn't the best movie, is it?
Yeah, but
it's not a great movie.
No,
he knocks out a performance in that one.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the point. Yeah, he's good in it, and also we've spoken about it before when we actually covered the film. But he's the reason you watch it. Because he is by far the best thing in that.
We need to do Legend. I can't remember. I must have seen it, but I can't remember it.
But I'm telling you now, right? People forget that that's Tim Curry.
Yeah. That's really iconic Satan as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Obviously,
also, Scary Movie 2
oh yeah, he is in that.
as the pervy professor.
Uh
Oh, hold on, and you're forgetting Three Musketeers.
Cardinal
No, see, I've never
Cardinal
seen it.
Rousseau or whatever he is.
You've never seen it. You love that song, and you've never seen the film.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought that you would have been all over that.
No, and that's one of Andrew's.
My massive 90s guilty pleasure, that is.
Yeah.
Brilliant film.
With the Brat Pack in it.
With Chris O'Donnell? No.
Chris was, yeah.
Yeah.
Keith Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Olivia Platt.
Yeah. No,
Oliver Platt.
Oliver
Sorry.
Platt. It's decent. It is decent. I reckon it gets slated massively if we watched it now. But if it's one of those films, if I came about it on a Saturday afternoon, I'd probably have to sit down and watch the whole film.
We'll do it for your birthday, is it?
Yeah.
Lads night in.
I'll start there. Well, I'll go on and a couple of things for me. I love the plot in the sense of they've taken the board game, they've taken all the aspects of the board game, and they've made it into a film. And the reason I like it, not because they necessarily did it amazingly, but I was like, oh, that's from the film. That's from the board game, sorry. So when Mr. Body is giving everyone things, so he like gives a candlestick, and all of a sudden I'm like a child that like said, oh my God, that's from the game, and that's from the game. And I found myself doing it. And so for that reason, I was thinking, oh, it's obviously having some sort of positive effect on me. And there's certain parts of the film where I do think the dialogue is quite good, or maybe the dialogue in how it's presented, namely Tim Curry, is decent as well. I think there's some quite funny bits within the dialogue, specifically some of the mannerisms, and again, I'm talking probably about Tim Curry more than anyone. But yeah, I won't say any more on that because there's not much more to say on it. I don't think this is an amazing film. I'll say it now, but I did get quite a bit of enjoyment out of watching it.
Yeah.
Ev, what have you got?
Going a lot from what you and Progger said. I quite like the cast as a whole. That if you think about it, around that time, it's just like it's almost like a plethora of 80s sort of little comedy films like that. You got like Michael McKean from Daryl, Spinal Tap, all that.
I love
Martin
that you put Daryl before Spinal Tap.
It's just because I watched it the other day.
Which one's Michael Keane? Sorry,
he's Mr.
Michael
Green.
McKean. He's Mr. Green.
Yeah,
he's the supposed gay person. Yeah.
Martin Mull from Mr. Mom and amongst other things.
So he's Professor Plum. No, Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
Right. So what else would I know him from? He's got that face where I was just like, I know him. He's something in the back of my head that it may be.
And I'm going to say something now that he's in that you might remember when you were a kid. He was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I was just about to say, he's the boyfriend of one of the ants.
Yeah.
Sabrina.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. That is exactly where it is.
What, you don't remember Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton?
Never seen it.
Oh my God.
I don't think I ever heard of Mr. Mom until we started doing this podcast, and probably when we started talking about, I don't know, Batman when we did that first of all.
Yeah, that's probably me. I said it. Obviously Christopher Lloyd playing the Lecce Professor Plum. And it's. I just think I quite like how they sort of play off each other. And obviously Tim Curry in his proper British poshness, especially when Mr. Body comes in in the house and he's saying, "Oh, you locking me in?" And he's like, "Oh," and they're going back and forth. And he says, "Oh, can I have the key?" And then Tim Curry says, "Oh, over my dead body. Can I take your bag?" And it's just like, Little things like that I quite like.
Yeah, no, and again, I think it comes down to some of the performances as well, doesn't it? There, definitely. Shall we move on to favorite scene? What have you got, Ev?
I like from when Tim Curry explains the first time to the end of the film, just the explanation scenes at the end, how obviously it's going faster and faster throughout him telling how the murderer killed everyone. It's almost like a Benny Hill skit, how everyone's running back and forward and stuff like that.
I liked it. It got on my tits a little bit after a while, in the sense of I was like, oh, come on. But
I was going to say this till the end, but I hated that section.
Oh,
my guilt levels throughout this podcast have just gone up. It's like
no, don't be daft, man.
I just feel bad. I want you to enjoy it. That's all.
Yeah, I'd put you out your misery. I didn't, but
I enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
No, it just got on my nerves, that section. That was like 15 to 20 minutes where I was like, I'd forgotten there was 3 endings. I remember there being talk of 3 endings, but I didn't remember all 3 of them being in the film. I
thought they were only going to show one.
Yeah. So when I saw all 3, I was just like, why can't they just pick one of them? Like, I don't blame them for filming 3 different endings. And then what would have been good is if you send different prints to different cinemas and they have different endings.
Well, they did do that. That did happen. But then when it came to the release of it on VHS or whatever on DVD, they've put all 3 in. But
so when it was, hang on a minute, so sorry, but so when it was released in the cinema, at the moment it's 97 minutes with all 3 endings. So when it was released in the cinema, are you saying it was more like 85 to 90 minutes?
No. So there were some people that came out to the cinema who who were talking about different endings. So if you'd gone to the same cinema, you would have seen the same ending. But if you then spoke to someone perhaps in another city or on another part of the country, they would have had a different ending.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, I can't remember who it was. They regretted doing that. They thought that they should have always had the 3 endings with that sort of in between.
Yeah.
But what really happened was, and then it's the end when his Wadsworth or whatever his name is.
So I don't understand that though. So you're saying that the title cards, what really happened?
Yeah.
Those were inserted when it was released on VHS or
on for home release.
Right. Okay.
That's what I've read anyway. So, yeah. But yeah, supposedly when it was in the cinema, they only had 1 ending.
Oh, okay.
It
still pissed me off.
This is my note. The Who Done It had several possible endings. During the initial theatrical run, different endings were sent to different theaters at random. When the movie came out on VHS, you could watch all 3 endings back to back.
Okay.
There was originally a 4th ending where Wadsworth was the murderer, but director Jonathan Lynch removed it because he felt it wasn't very good. But he was the murderer in the version I saw.
Yeah, everyone murdered one person.
Ah, right, okay.
Apart from
Mr. Green.
Yeah.
One other scene I've got to mention is the scene of Wadsworth unmasking everyone. When they go into the study and he starts revealing all the details about people. I quite like that, just as like a exposition dump or whatever.
Going back to your original scene, Ev, the explanation, then you got the 3 endings. So that when Tim Curry first started running around, I was I got some enjoyment from it, but then I thought, it's going on too long, and then I had that dread of, oh my god, are they going to do that for all 3 endings? And like you're going to have like a 15-minute stretch where he's running back and forth. So I was so glad at the very end where they just cut it to those last bits. If you had to pick one of those endings as the only ending, which one would you have?
The first one with Miss Scarlet's a killer.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I quite
Because I
like
tell
that.
you why I don't like the last ending. Because there's something in the dialogue over the dinner scene where it's implied that a woman's going to be the killer in the film.
Ah, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember the line exactly, but there was a bit of dialogue where it's like, okay, if you were watching an actual murder mystery, it was a bit of offhand dialogue that could sort of lead the viewer into thinking, okay, so the killer probably will be a woman, something like that. So the last ending doesn't make sense for the dialogue that I picked up on. Or because to me, right, this is the main problem I have with the film. I don't think it's a good murder mystery at all. I don't. For me, there's no intrigue, there's no suspense. Also, there's hardly anything to sort of like subconsciously or subliminally indicate who might be the killer to you. You are basically left until the ending where Tim Curry is running round. It's basically explaining the plot to you.
And I think that there's two reasons for that. I think one, they've gone out for the supposed comedy element of it rather than a traditional murder mystery. And second, they've probably used the board game as too much of a reference. Because in
Yeah.
the board game, you never know. There's no clues as such as it, other than you tick off who it isn't, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I suppose if you're comparing like that as a murder mystery story, to say something like an Inspector Calls, or even that Knives Out film, which I thought was brilliant in terms of how that gets laid out and whatever.
Well, Knives Out is a perfect example of how to do this film, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So I've never seen Knives Out.
Watch it, but
Could
it's brilliant.
Could you sort of rebadge it as Cluedo? I don't know I don't know too much about the premise.
Yeah, you can't. There's enough characters in there for you to kind of say it's a Cluedo-esque film.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's basically this family in a mansion, and the old man with the money has died, and this detective is brought in because they suspect foul play, and it's up to the detective to work out who's done it.
And
I'm going to say this now. I think Knives Out was one of the best films the year it came out. I really, really enjoyed that film.
I just wonder whether, rather than having Tim Curry's character as a butler, could have just been a detective.
I think you could have had that, but then I kind of understand the film trying to do something different, because then is it just another?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Otherwise, is it just a Poirot? Is it just a Columbo? Is it just I don't know.
I don't mind the Tim Curry as Wadsworth thing. That's not something that bothered me.
Yeah.
I tell you what bothered me. How come
have you got any? Hang on a minute now. Have you got any favorite scenes?
Me? Yeah, I quite like.
I'm going to say no. I haven't got a favorite scene. So if you want to carry on, then
my favorite scene, only because I did laugh out loud a little bit on it, when they started making out with all the dead people.
Right. Okay.
not particularly well written. It's not particularly well acted. But as we talk about it being a comedy, I did give a little chuckle to myself.
Right.
Was it when he opened her eyes?
Who's the guy who played Mr. Body? Is he? I don't recognize him from anything.
No.
But I don't know. I just
Leaving his name is.
I just wonder. I just didn't think he was. I don't know. I was going to say well cast.
Oh, he's a singer.
I would have played that slightly differently, I think.
Right. So he was in a couple of. He's mainly in a band called Fear, but he did actually play a couple of roles in Flashdance and Streets of Fire before Clue came out. But those are what he's mostly known for.
So I haven't got anything. I have got Tim Curry's explanation, as Ev said, but my issue with that is that it did go on too long. Come on then. Changes. What have you got?
Oh,
Go on, Prague.
it's supposed to be a comedy. I didn't laugh once.
I didn't enjoy it as a comedy. Well, there were bits you know me. I'm not a barely laughed out guy, laugh out loud guy anyway.
You're
But
absolutely not.
no, far from it. But I did find myself smiling throughout.
That's fair.
It's a type of film, and I'm sort of going into sort of recommend you, but it's a type of film. I've seen it. I got some enjoyment out of it. I probably won't watch it again for a long time. And it's funny. I spoke to my neighbours about this, Mark and Alex, and you guys know Mark and Alex, and they love the theatre and they love sort of these type of movies. And Alex said to me, "You got to watch it again because you pick up on so many other things in the film after seeing it after seeing it the first time." And I was just thinking to myself, I probably won't. I got some enjoyment out of it. I'll move on. I'll come back to it in 20 years' time. If I'm still alive in 20 years' time.
You won't.
Yeah.
What?
Be alive or come back to it. I told you about those Iron Men's have taken their toll on you.
Well, hey, the kids are taking a toll on me. Don't bloody do any movement anymore. I got one major change.
Okay.
Mr. Body, the dub on him, I thought was really bad. There was quite bad issues with dubbing, I think, throughout the film anyway. And I always find this quite strange. When something is on obviously a set, when they get the dubbing or the sound wrong for whatever reason, they've had to go back and they've dubbed him. Not the dub is the wrong, is it the right word? But they've done. He's had to record it again in the studio.
He's had to do another track.
Yeah. And it was just clearly more obvious than anyone else in the movie.
The only way I can excuse it is if the film spoiled, as if the soundtrack spoiled somehow, so they had to redo it. But then you're never going to know about that, really, are you? So, my problem with Mr. Body, right? I'm not saying this Lee Ving's a bad actor, but he's not charismatic as Mr. Body.
You get the impression that he's trying to play a villain, but just But
he's trying to play moody, mysterious, but in this film, it doesn't work.
And also, it's I don't want to talk ill of someone that's his profession or potentially one of his professions. I just didn't find it convincing. It was like me or you trying to be in this film and trying to be all trying to be all mysterious and moody. But yeah, I just didn't buy it.
Yeah.
So. The guy who comes in and he uses the telephone, the motorist who's broken down.
Yeah.
How long is he on the phone for? He gets locked in a room, and he's on the phone for like 10 minutes.
Well, the only thing I would say is it's 1954, so he might have taken 5 minutes trying to get through to someone.
Yeah. Can I speak to New York?
Yeah. Switchboards are terrible back then, probably.
Number one.
Number one, yeah. And then it rings, and it's like one phone for the entire street, and they've got to go and get the person. What have you got, Ev? It's a perfect film. He hasn't got anything.
No, yeah. It's cinematic gold. I don't have anything.
Stick to your guns, Ev. Come on.
So here's the point. I don't think you answered this. When's the last time you saw it?
What, before this week?
Yeah.
Got to be about 15 years ago.
Right. I was just wondering if it was one of those films we all have.
I watch every week.
Yeah, you got to watch them maybe every year or a couple of years or what have you.
No,
sorry, but go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, well, there's always a film that you'll stick on because it's a safe watch because you know where you are with it, isn't it? Like, I'll say a film now that I've watched loads, and I don't think it's an amazing film, but I really enjoy it. And that's Moneyball. For some reason, if I'm stuck for something to watch and that's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah, we've all got our go-to films.
Yeah, I think it's more the nostalgic element for me for this, and but I think it's Yeah, as a murder mystery story, probably right. It's not great by any stretch,
But
but
you think now, right? The film's 90. If you take out the other two endings and you just have the ending that you prefer, so let's say it's a 90-minute film. Okay, there's 25 to 30 minutes before Mr. Body dies. Then there's like 10, 15 minutes at the end where Tim Curry is explaining everything and they finding out who the killer is. You got 45 minutes between the death and Tim Curry finding out the killer is. Is that enough time to have a good murder mystery?
well, possibly not. I don't think you'd want at least an hour, wouldn't you? But then I think like
But not much happens anyway in this
No,
film.
that's my point.
yeah, and I mean like the whole search in the house thing, I think is a bit
I said that's my
I suppose.
point. I don't even think I made that point.
But Ev, going on the searching of the house, again, they're just trying to be true to the board game, aren't they? They've gone, right, we've got this board game, right? What do you do in this board game? How is the board laid out? And they've tried to incorporate as much of that as possible. So idiots like me go, that's in the board game. Oh, look, it's a candlestick. Or the secret passages are a perfect example. The secret passages that they use mirror exactly what room goes into what room.
Yeah,
exactly.
And even like if you think about the way that the house is sort of decked out, as it were, it is like the board game. You go into the hallway and you've got obviously the three rooms either side, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting as well, because you'll notice, I think I'm right in this, no murders take place other than on that first floor, on the ground floor.
Yeah.
No murders upstairs. I'm right in that, am I?
No, there's nothing upstairs.
No.
So they all happen in the rooms that are in the board game. And then,
but I hated the introduction of the weapons.
Yeah.
I thought that was so hammy. I'd completely forgotten how the weapons were introduced, where they get a letter and they get given their own weapon. I was like, oh, that's poor. That's so poor.
Yeah,
you could have just had those items lying around somewhere. Like someone found a gun in a drawer, or someone happened to know where the gun was when the murder was off, and then it's a case of how did you know it was there, or that's who the murderer was if it was the gun, that type of stuff. I just think, and the candlestick sitting there, someone knocks it over by accident. That's how you know the candlestick is there if someone gets murdered. That type of thing. I just think the handing out of the weaponry, it was just lazy, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing on that, if you're going off the board game, all the cars that they arrived in were the colours that represent them in the board game.
Really?
So Colonel Mustard came in a yellow Cadillac. Miss White drives a black and white MG convertible. Miss Peacock drives a blue sedan, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through them all. Which I quite like that little touch, but I didn't notice it until these notes and trivia that I got later. A couple of things then before we wrap up. Has anyone got any more changes?
No, I was going to say it was just an observation. Why? And murder mysteries, why is it always raining outside?
It's always raining and dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's oppressive, but
the biggest issue I have with this film is how comes Susan Sarandon's boobs don't pop out of that dress?
Who's Susan Sarandon?
Susan Sarandon. Or Colleen Camp, you're thinking of?
No.
Are you on about Miss Scarlett, Leslie Ann Warren?
No, that's Susan Sarandon, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Colleen Camp. She was
Colleen Camp is a vet. I'm on about Miss Scarlett.
Yeah. No, it's Leslie Ann Warren, please, Miss Scarlett. I know exactly what you mean, but it looks like Susan Sarandon.
I went through that entire movie. It was like, and then when you said that, I thought, have I got the name wrong? But it's a totally different actress, is it?
Yeah.
Well, this film's gone down in my estimation as regards to his casting, because I was thinking, well done for getting her.
I've got to say, I think Leslie Ann Warren's a very attractive woman.
If Adam was here right now, he'd be like, "Oh, look at you! going for the older lady again. You know, what film did we watch? And we were talking about that.
Oh, I can't remember.
We did a film.
Wasn't it Hellraiser?
No, it may have been when we all got together and whatever. Oh, we were talking about Sarah Green on Ghostwatch.
Yeah.
And we showed a picture of her modern day, and she's in her 60s. And we said something along the lines of, oh, you know, isn't she still really attractive? And he was like, look at you, she's got a granny neck. Do you know what? Leslie Ann Warren, I was certain that was Susan.
But I completely understand where you're coming from. She does have a bit of the Susan Sarandon about her. And I think, right, Susan Sarandon took over Leslie Ann Warren's career.
Well, it's the same person. Maybe she just. Well, I don't. Wow. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I got it so wrong. But
has it gone down a mark now?
Yeah, a little bit. But
you can't do that, man.
No,
you can't do it just because you think you got the actress mixed up.
But it doesn't change the fact that how the hell did a boob stay in that dress? I'm sure it was getting lower and lower as the film was going on.
Well, and to what Ev was saying as well, Colleen Camp as well as a vet.
Oh,
they didn't pop out at some point.
Yeah, I won't say any more on that. But right, a couple of facts. Tim Curry was at least third choice for Wadsworth. Leonard Rossiter was before him, and Rowan Atkinson.
No, I'm not having either of those.
I like Rowan Atkinson, but yeah, Tim Curry all the way.
Yeah, completely.
And I think
apparently there's another one here for Miss Scarlet, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, well, Carrie Fisher, I know a little bit about this. Carrie Fisher, I don't think hadn't long finished Return of the Jedi. I think I'm right in this, and I think she went into rehab not long after.
Yeah, she did. She did go into rehab.
So that would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right to the time Return of the Jedi would have come out, she would have been proper sort of sex symbol at the time, wouldn't she? With the gold bikini scene and everything.
Yeah.
Budget was 15 million. It returned in the box office 14.6. So didn't even wipe his face.
Can I ask you something? Did you, when I first watched this and before I looked it up, after I rewatched it, I always assumed this was like a Mel Brooks type of film.
Yeah, I can see that.
There was quite a famous producers on this, I think.
Deborah Hill was one of them, wasn't she, from Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween.
John Landis wrote it.
Right, yeah, he helped write it with Jonathan Lynn, didn't he?
Him of the Blues Brothers.
Well, and American Werewolf in London. Yeah, and that's it. I haven't got any more facts, guys. Normally, I got quite a few, but I gave up. There's so many characters. I was going to say, like, oh, did you know that so and so was going to play Professor Plum? And I couldn't be bothered to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, I one other fact for you: Jonathan Lynn actually co-wrote one of my all-time favorite sitcoms.
Oh, can I guess this?
Go on.
Sitcoms, American, I'm assuming.
No, it's British.
Oh, I'm out. What was it?
The Manor
No,
it's Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister.
I didn't read it.
Absolute genius writing in that.
Is he British then, Jonathan Lynn?
Yeah.
Right, come on then. Last question. We always ask it. Would you recommend? Prog?
Sorry, but no.
Ev?
No, I'm not sorry, but still no.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I thought you swayed in, Prog.
Well done, Ev. Stick to your guns, man.
I'm not like the government. I don't U-turn for no one.
If you listen to our previous podcast, I think they'll.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
easily swayed. I don't know what I'd recommend. I think at least watch it. At least watch it once, and then you can make your own opinion on it. But I got enjoyment out of it, and I'd hope that other people would as well. Right. Podcasts come out every Wednesday. Check out our social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that malarkey. And we'll see you next time. Cheers, all.